quick video changing the heater core in a Ford 1989 F250 with a 7.9 diesel. The heater is located behind the firewall in the corner. These are the two heater hoses here that are going into the firewall and into the heater core. To get at the heater core, you need to go inside the cab, and it's behind the glove compartment. The first thing to do is to get the glove compartment door out of the way, and it's pretty easy to do. Open your glove compartment, and upper right corner there's a little tab that prevents it from falling all the way open. Just take your finger or your thumb, push that tab in, and you can open the glove compartment all the way. Then there's two ears that it hinges on. There's one in each side, and you can pull it off of those like that. You can see these two little ears. Then you can just fold your glove compartment door off to the side so it's out of the way. Let it hang by the little cable there that stops it if you want. Then you're looking at your cover for your heater core. Then remove this cover. You remove these little screws, and that will take your cover off so you can get at your core. Okay, we've taken out the 7 little screws holding the cover on. Those take a 8mm socket or 5/16 will work. Now that we have those screws out, the next thing is to take this cable out of the clip here at the top. It's pretty easy, just push on the top of the clip, pull the cable out, and tuck it behind the clip out of the way. You'll notice on the bottom there's a wire that's connected to the cover with a plug-in. You're alright to leave that where it is. Your next step is just pull the cover off of the two little ears there and push it up off of those so it's free. Then you can grab the top of the cover, pull it towards you, kind of wiggle it, and then you can rotate it a little bit and pull it right out of the opening. Then that's the cover is off. You can let it hang by that wire. And then you can see your heater core. As you can see, mine was leaking right there at the top, and it was running down that core. And also I was getting some smoke, and I could smell the antifreeze coming out of the dash right in this area. So that told me that my heater core was bad. So our next step is to unhook the hoses on the other end, and we can push the heater core out. So we need to unhook our heater hoses where they go into the firewall right here. And before we do that, we have to drain out our antifreeze or close these hoses. One way you could do is take a vice grip or a clamp and pinch your two heater hoses shut right here, and then you could take them off without having to drain your whole system. When you do that, be careful you don't clamp too tight, or you're going to ruin your hoses or make a weak spot in them. Also, once your hoses are free, if you lift them up higher than the engine, they shouldn't leak because they're high. That'll be the high point. They're above the top of the radiator. Before you do anything, you should loosen your radiator cap to make sure you don't have any pressure in the system. It'll make it harder to prevent it from leaking when you take these clamps off. In my case, I'm going to replace both of these heater hoses, so I'm going to drain the radiator. when I checked my hoses, I found some bad spots where they were rubbing. Right here on the alternator, it has a bad clamp. I don't know if you can see it, but it's rubbed through the hose right there pretty good. So it's kind of a weak spot. Cheap insurance just to get new hoses as long as you're doing this. Then you're not going to have any problem. For $12 I got both hoses, so it's well worth doing it. So to drain my radiator, that'll be my next step. Okay, to drain the radiator, you're going to need a 5-gallon bucket, catch the antifreeze in, a pair of pliers to loosen your drain plug. Your drain plug is underneath in the driver's side. As you can see it right here, that little drain valve, you screw it out to open it. As you can see, I've already opened it a little bit with my pliers, so it's loose and it's dripping. And you get your bucket underneath of it. And be careful if it's hot. In my case it's hot because I just drove in here and started doing this. So I'm going to reach up and open my valve enough to get some antifreeze coming out of it. There we go. A little bit. Now we're getting some. That's about right. We'll let that drain down while we're getting ready to take our hoses off. Okay, while we're waiting for our antifreeze to drain out, I took the cap off the radiator and I put a couple of clamps on our heater hoses to show you how you could do that to stop the fluid from leaking out the hose when you undo it. I used a plastic gripper clamp here that works pretty good. It's got plastic teeth so it doesn't hurt your hose, and I have it crimped off pretty tight. Another way, you could use a regular pair of vice grips, but it's going to be harder on your hose and you run a risk of damaging your hose where it bites it too tight. Doesn't really matter to me because I'm throwing these hoses away anyhow. Once I have it clamped off, we've got enough fluid drained out of it. Next step is to undo your hose clamps where they go into the firewall. Pull those off. They're kind of hard to get to, but not too bad. Get them loose enough. These clamps take a 5/16 wrench. If you have trouble with your screwdriver, you can use a wrench. Wrench works good for getting them tighter. Put it back together. Okay, so we got those loose. Loose enough, maybe we can pull our hose off. Oh yeah. There's one of them. And watch out you don't get sprayed when you pull it off of there. I'm sure we'll lose a little bit. Hopefully not. Won't make too big of a mess. Yeah, that wasn't too bad. We didn't really lose anything. You can hear the air sucking it back down to the radiator. And we'll pull the other one. It's loose enough. There's that one. So we don't have too much of a mess. Worked out pretty good. Now we should be able to push our heater core right out into the cab. We push on those. We'll go inside and see if we can pull it out from the cab. We'll grab our light. We can see what's going on. but not too bad. See if I can pull it out here. There we go. There, that's not too bad. Now we can work it out of here somehow. It's kind of a tight fit. Let's see what we can do here. Could use a little more room to get the damn thing out of here. Kind of like a puzzle. The problem is the two lines of output lines are kind of sticking out. They're too long. There isn't very much room to bend it out of here. I'm going to have to use both hands here to maneuver this around, I think. Okay, it looks like the way the heater core comes out is you pull the bottom out and it drops down towards the floor. Instead of trying to pull it out this opening, just let it drop down right through the bottom, and it comes out on the floor. So that has our core out. We can take a closer look at it and see where it was leaking. Looks like the top was leaking pretty good. It's all green and corroded. You can see it was definitely leaking. So that's the old one. And we'll get our new one, stick it in there. That'll be our next step. And make sure everything's cleaned out for the new one. Looks pretty good in there. A little bit of dirt you can get out. Stuff there. Okay. So here's our new heater core. This one's all aluminum, where the other one was brass and copper. We'll compare them here, make sure we got the right one. It looks similar, but not exactly. Looks like our pipes are the same. The tanks are a little bit different. And the width is the same, so we should be okay. Our height is pretty close to the same. The aluminum one is about $20 cheaper than the brass one. The brass one in this case was $45, and this aluminum one was $22. So then we should be able to just reverse everything we did, put it back together, and we should be back in business.